figuring out how we're actually going to, get it made.
So when you guys first read it, what goes through your head when you're reading the book and when you're reading the script in terms of how you're going to execute this thing and how you're going to pull it off? What are the considerations that are going through your head when you're working that through?
I think on this one it was more about probably where the budget was going to go.
Yeah,
The financing for this.
It was a limited budget for a big project.
Yeah.
We had a ton of locations.
Exactly.
And, Paul doesn't, the way the process and what she works, it's not someone to shoot in like 30 or 40 days. He needs his 50 plus days to shoot. So, which is hard to do on a budget that's in its early 20s. So.
Right. And with a cast this big, I mean, you're juggling how many schedules? I can't imagine with a cast like that.
Which actually worked out to our benefit because, apart from obviously Joaquin was on for the run of the show and Catherine and Josh was on for a huge chunk. There were a lot of people like, Reese, who we could get for 2 days, or Benicio, who wouldn't have most probably been able to come and do it for 12 weeks because we had nothing to pay anyone. But, they really wanted to work Paul and vice versa and were able to come in and commit, just for a week or less.
And so when did you guys start shooting? What was the process? Where does let me back it up to prep. When does prep start and how long of a prep did you give yourself for a movie like this?
Right.
This would be, Paul likes a long prep.
Long prep, long shoot, long post.
And a long movie in the end, amazing.
We shot it not last summer, the summer before.
Right. The struggle on this one is that we went into prep without really having the financing. And so we, Warner Brothers came involved.
Jeff Robinoff, who was at the studio at the time, he'd been interested in working with Paul, and around the time of the master, that Warner Brothers were actually going to become involved in the master at one point. But that didn't pan out for various different reasons. But he still, so he kind of said, well, what next? And at that point, we already had, got the book and stuff, so we gave him the book, and he was like, yeah, I want to do this with you guys. And so it's just a matter of working out the finances, and then Scott Rudin came in for like a quarter of the money through. He has a company that is Barry Diller's money that we got through that. So that was a quarter and 3/4 through Warner Brothers.
Oh, all right.
And the other thing, obviously, how he's different is when we shoot, basically Paul will shoot a scene, and we allow for this, and then basically if he doesn't like it, he'll come in the next day, or actually while he's shooting it and say, this ain't working, and then we go and redo it. So the idea of reshoots don't happen. We basically reshoot as we shoot.
Which in a way is like, how a lot of directors you'll go back in post-production, and it's actually more cost-effective in a way to do it while you shoot, because you don't have to start up again and stuff. I mean, it's not all of it, but it's, that's just, and we've worked with him so long that we know that's kind of his process, so when we budget and schedule, we kind of build that into